Hi, you're watching Math Club. Here's another word problem related to simultaneous linear algebraic equations. This problem is from Book 2, Exercise 2F, question number 21. The statement of the question is as follows. Hyunjin's mother buys some shares of company A on day 0. On day 7, the share price of company A is $4.60. If she sells all her shares of company A and buys 2,000 shares of company B on day 7, she would receive $7,400. On day 12, the share price of company A is $4.80 and share price of company B is 50 cents less than that on day 7. If she sells all her shares of company A and buys 5,000 shares of company B on day 12, she would have to pay $5,800. Find the number of shares of company A Hyunjin's mother has. And in the second part, find the share price of company B on day 12. In the first part, we are going to find the number of shares of company A Hyunjin's mother has. And in the second part of the question, we are going to find the share price of company B on day 12. But before this, we will be finding the share price of company B on day 7, because the share price of company B on day 7 is not mentioned in the statement of the question. To solve this question, let's take the number of shares of company A that Hyunjin's mother has as X and the share price of company B on day 7 as $Y. According to the first condition, on day 7, the share price of company A is $4.60. If Hyunjin's mother sells all her shares of company A and buys 2,000 shares of company B on day 7, she would receive $7,400. Therefore, we can write the equation form of the given condition as 4.60x negative 2,000y equals 7,400. Since we assumed x as the number of shares, 4.60x represents all her shares of company A on day 7. And negative 2,000y represents the purchase of 2,000 shares of company B on day 7, as we assumed $Y as the share price of company B. We are taking 2,000 as a negative integer because she is buying the shares, which means the amount will be subtracted. The positive 7,400 on the right side of the equation shows that she will receive this amount as mentioned in the statement. According to the second condition, on day 12, the share price of company A is $4.80 and the share price of company B is 50 cents less than that on day 7. If she sells all her shares of company A and buys 5,000 shares of company B on day 12, she would have to pay $5,800. So the equation form of the statement becomes 4.80x negative 5,000 into y negative 0.50 equals negative 5,800. Since we assumed x as the number of shares, 4.80x represents all her shares of company A on day 12. And negative 5,000 represents the 5,000 shares of company B she buys on day 12. Now let me explain why negative 0.50. We assumed $Y as the share price of company B on day 7. And it is given in the statement that the share price of company B on day 7 is 50 cents less than on day 12. So I will subtract 0.50 from Y, which means on day 7 the share price of company B is 50 cents less than on day 12. On the right side, the negative 5,800 indicates that Hughes's mother would have to pay this amount on day 12. We use a positive sign for receiving amount and a negative sign for giving amount. If I name these equations as equations 1 and equation 2, we have a system of linear equations. Let's solve the system by the substitution method. I will start by taking equation 1. I want to solve this equation for the variable x. Therefore, I will add positive 20y to the both sides of the equation in order to eliminate the negative 2000y from the left side. We get 4.60x negative 2000y positive 2000y equals 7400 positive 2000y. As we know, negative 2000y and positive 2000y is 0. We get 4.60x equals 7400 positive 2000y. In the next step, I will divide both sides of the equation by 4.60 in order to eliminate 4.60 from the left side. We get 4.60x on 4.60 equals 7400 plus 2000y on 4.60. 4.60 will cancel out 4.60. We get x equals 7400 positive 2000y on 4.60. Let's name this equation as equation 3. And we are solving the system of linear equations by substitution method. So I'm going to substitute this equation 3 into equation 2. Equation 2, which is 4.80x negative 5000 into y a negative 0.50 equals negative 5800 becomes 4.80 into the value of x 7400 plus 2000y on 4.60 negative 5000 into y negative 0.50 equals negative 5800. Look at 4.80 and 4.60. The same number of digits exists in the decimal parts of these two numbers. So you can eliminate the decimal point. We get 480 into 7400 positive 2000y on 460 negative 5000y positive 2500 equals a negative 5800. We get negative 5000y by multiplying negative 5000 by y, and positive 2500 by multiplying negative 5000 and negative 0.50. Since 48 and 46 are the multiples of 2, so let's divide these two numbers by 2. We get 24 into 7400 positive 2000y on 23 negative 5000y. On the right side, if we take this positive 2500 from left to the right side, or in order to eliminate positive 2500 from the left side, we will subtract 2500 from both sides of this equation. We get negative 5800 negative 2500. Negative 5800 negative 2500 gives us negative 8300. Now I am going to multiply 24 by 7400. The product is 177,600 plus 24 times 2000 is 48,000y. Negative. You can also express 5000y as 5000y upon 1 equals negative 8,300. Let's take the LCM of 23 and 1, which is 23. Now, if I divide the LCM 23 by the first denominator 23, we get 1. 1 multiplied by the first numerator, 177,600 plus 48,000y, we get the same number. And if I divide 23 by the second denominator 1, we get 23. And if we multiply 23 by 5,000y, we get 120,000y. Next, 48,000y and 120,000y gives us negative 72,000y. In order to eliminate 23 from the left side, I'll multiply both sides by 23, which gives us 177,600 negative 72,000y equals negative 8,300 times 23. Negative 8,300 times 23 is 190,900. Next, we are solving this equation for the variable y. So, I'm going to subtract 177,600 from both sides in order to eliminate positive 177,600 from the left side. We get negative 67,000y equals negative 190,900 negative 177,600. These two negative numbers gives us negative 368,500. To find the value of y, let's divide both sides by negative 67,000. We get y equals 5.5. To find the value of x, let's substitute y equals 5.5 into equation 3. Equation 3, x equals 7,400 positive 2,000y on 4.60 becomes 7,400 positive 2,000 into 5.5 on 4.60. If we multiply 2,000 by 5.5, we get 11,000. And if we add 11,000 to 7,400, we get 18,400. Further, if we divide 18,400 by 4.60, we get 4,000, which is the value of x. Now that we have found the values for the variables x and y, we can determine the number of shares of company A that Hugin's mother has. We assume that x is 4,000. The share price of company B on day 7, which we assumed as y, is $5.5. But the second part of the question asks us to find the share price of company B on day 12. To do this, we will subtract 50 cents from $5.5, as it is mentioned in the statement of the question that the share price on day 12 is 50 cents less than that on day 7. Therefore, the share price of company B on day 12 is $5.